2014, Ferguson, when Jay-Z is bailing prisoners out and doing protesters out and taking pictures and supporting Trayvon Martin and that family, what was Kaepernick? You know who he was? Taking his shirt off, bruh. I knew Kaepernick back then. He was never talking about this. He meets Nessa 2015, all of a sudden 2016 he gets benched. Flip-flop. Not mad. That still doesn't disqualify you.
Well, damn. Marcellus Wiley got in Cap and Nessa's ass. Yo, Nessa need that Aisha Curry treatment right now, though. She's doing a little too much talking. She's doing a bit too much. But I was going to do a video about the Marcellus Wiley response, but the Boule Bird decided to jump in and cock block and, do his John Madden stats, analysis on the situation. But let's talk about these old elders, these Boule Negroes who have a problem when black folks say we done with the one drop rule. Let's talk about it. So if you hadn't seen, if you've been living under a rock, Marcellus Wiley on Speak for Yourself went on there and he had some things to say about Cap and Jay and Nessa and whatnot, and a couple Eric Reed and I think another brother who was boycotting. And in his beautiful rebuttal, I agree with almost everything he said except for the Jay-Z dick eating. He did posture a bit, and I mean he was taking Jay-Z's side. Although I agree with some of the stuff he's saying, like, why does Jay have to check with Cap? I don't understand that, period. Like, this idea that people have to check with Nessa and Kaepernick, the biracial and Egyptian, before they handle business or do things for their own community or whatever. Like, I just don't get that. Like, no, we don't. A man doesn't ask another man for permission. Like, what are you talking about? But other than that, I agree with most of what he said, except for the dick eating for Jay-Z. Jay-Z is human. He's flawed. He has issues just like everybody else. He has just as much, dirt that can be thrown on him. So I don't. That only part of his, message is that praising Jay-Z is that. I just don't agree with that. But other than that, I agree with most of what he said. And somebody please check on all of the pro-black half-breeds like Michi X. See if she aight. Because he went in on the pro-black half-breeds. And then, see if my man G Lowry alright too. I don't think he discussed this topic yet, but see if he alright too, because he did the whole video, Biracials Are the New Blacks. And you saw this is the first time, honestly, we've seen a public pushback of the idea of biracials being leaders of movements and being in control and being followed by actual black people who have different experiences. Like, we've had little, hits here and there, but this is the first time we've really seen it. And there's a pushback within mainstream media. When Dr. Ben Carson made the point, like, Obama's not ADOS, he doesn't have our experiences, he's not raised in this culture, and the media ran with it and tried to flip it. And even, what's the one not funny comedian, Trevor Noah, he did a little segment. The funny thing is, I did the video when I talked about how, April Ryan had her little spat with Don Lennon about, Kamala's being not ADOS, and I put the clip of Trevor Noah on that. But the funny thing is after I was doing my research later on, I saw a joke from Trevor Noah, and he did exactly what he accused Ben Carson of doing. He referenced poverty in a joke, but he was correlating poverty with black people, and that was one of the deflections that Trevor Noah did to try to make Ben Carson look like he was stupid when he made his correlation. But he ended up doing the same thing. That was just weird to me. I couldn't even post that joke, I think, because it was copywritten or whatever. But you've seen a pushback whenever people, want to get out there and say, like, this person's biracial. I'm not, well, there's a distinction, man. There's nothing wrong with making a distinction, right? Like, every group on this planet has a distinction between who's fully them and can represent them, who cannot. And Roland will always do this flip-flop John Madden statistics and go back and name all these biracial people. We saw that. We listened to the G Lowry's video that biracials is the new black. Right? We know historically that, many mixed race people, many non-ADOS people have been vocal and participate in helping the black plight. But we don't address why that was. Why did they have the connections? Why were they in the in crowd where they got to go back and forth? Like, you can't say that we've had all these people do X, Y, Z, but not mention why. Crispus Attucks was a Native American and a former slave, but he was a fair-skinned brother who could pass. Part of him surviving, as long as he did survive before he got first person killed in the Civil War, was because he could pass. Like, you can't take that context out of it. The first thing people would say is, well, white people see Kaepernick, blah, blah, blah. First of all, we don't determine who is biracial, who is black by what white people think. Like, get that through your head. Because society sees you one way, because white cops see you a way, even if that's true, doesn't mean we do too. And at the same time, some of the same people who will cry and say this is divisive and we shouldn't be talking about this and blah, 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 they'll be the same ones who will bring up, oh, colorism. Like, especially women. Karen Hunter brought up, oh, is it a reason the Cynthia Brown chick who got released for killing her pimp? Well, did it only happen because she's light-skinned and because she's pretty or whatever? So y'all can figure out when there's a privilege for having fair skin or being biracial. But y'all don't want to talk about it when folks who are black saying, no, we good, we don't trust you. You can't just erase all this history of the plight of the mulatto and all other things. One of the things Roland Martin will do too, and he claims it's a purity test, but it's not. It's just black folks saying, you can't represent us. Like, and black folks have every right to do that. And when you Google Roland Martin's name, it says Haitian American. So you're second generation, maybe third. So it's like, how do you feel like you get to speak on how black Americans let who black Americans let represent them? You can't speak for us either. You don't get to determine that. He'll go into all his rants and name all these people from the 60s and 70s and all this other stuff. And I'm like, what does that have to do with today? People change. Culture changes. You understand that because I was watching his segment one time and he corrected himself. He was about to say illegal immigrant. That's all, folks. And he changed it and said undocumented. Like, he knows how the game works. He literally had Auntie Maxine on the show years ago. He used to always talk about illegal immigration, talking about how black people wasn't feeling it, and he asked Auntie Maxine, how do we get black folks to get on board with this or whatever, since y'all pushing it, right? For whatever reason, black people don't go to the Democratic Party telling what their policies are and what they want. The Democratic Party tells black people what they want them to support and what they should be on, right? That's backwards. Every other group says, this is our grievance, this is our issue, what can you do to help? For us, it's not that. Whatever they say goes. Even if we don't co-sign it, we just fall in line and support it. But your Auntie Maxine's response was, well, we got to just keep pushing shit on them, just like we did with gay marriage. And that's what the policy has been for Democrats. They just keep pushing shit on you until you finally accept it and acquiesce. You don't get to voice and dictate to them what you want. So Roland knows that policy changes, perception changes, culture changes, but yet he'll still bring up other situations as if that matters today. Today, black folks are saying, whether you agree or not, they feel some type of way with biracial people representing them being in the face. He brought up Jesse Williams in his little rant. What happened to Jesse Williams when he left his allegedly black wife, who by all means looks like she's biracial just like him? His support from black women mostly was withdrew, right? They were consistent with that. Their love and loyalty to his speech was consistent upon him being with the black girl, his wife. When he got rid of her, they got rid of their support. But you brought him up. Now, a lot of people didn't say nothing because if a man says something like, oh, well, we've already heard that before, so such, whatever, it was just like you hating or whatever. I didn't say much. I didn't do a video about his speech. I let it ride. And guess what happens? It's a turn on him. After picking him up, put him on a pedestal, they take him right back off. But nonetheless, there are people who still feel that way. Whether you agree with it or not, like, you can't just dismiss arguments because you don't think it's right, or you think it's a purity test, or you think it shouldn't be a conversation. What Marcellus Wiley said on that episode of Fox, it's a conversation that people really be feeling. And this was the first time you've heard it publicly stated. Like, some people actually really saying, fuck Cap. I didn't believe in this protest. I didn't believe in this boycott. I didn't see how the connection was made. It doesn't make sense to me that you want people to do something that half your other coworkers aren't even participating in either. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And of course, people were silent and gave him passes or whatever. But now it's 3 years later, and now you still posturing and telling people, not even you, your girl is telling people, and Roland had a problem with that too. He had a problem with the fact that people are saying that Nessa's doing too much and Nessa put a charge in Kaepernick's back. That's the perception that we all have. Because he's not talking. She's doing more talking for him. So, Marcellus Wiley's not an idiot. Man's an Ivy League grad. He played in the league. He's not, he knows what he was talking about. And then, again, just the intellectual dishonesty of the way Roland framed his arguments. Like, the first thing he said was, Marcellus Wiley said, I never agree with the kneeling. I would say, get those resources. he never said what resources, but Roland Martin jumped to the conclusion that he was talking about the NFL paying for the little social justice. They spent like $100 million almost just dealing with certain issues in the community. But he didn't specify what he meant. You just assumed what you wanted to assume and made a whole argument on some John Madden shit that we don't even know he's talking about that. He could have just been saying like, yo, you be quiet and keep your money and you use your own resources to promote the policies you want. Don't do it at work. Do it any other opportunity. Do it at an award show. But Roland just went with it and made his own arguments. And he did that throughout the episode, his little rant. He kept just making up his own analysis of what happened. Marcellus Wiley made an observation of an opinion saying Colin was just on the bench pouting because he wasn't starting. And then he started protesting after that. Roland Martin goes into the whole argument about the Navy SEAL and the kneeling and all that. He didn't say anything about that. His perception was he was pouting because he wasn't starting and they were losing and whatnot. Right? Where does all this other stuff come from when you don't know that he wasn't pouting? It did look that way to me. A lot of people are saying, yo, if he was starting and he was still a superstar, he never would have did what he did. If he was still in the limelight, he would have still been like on that frat white boy stuff that he was doing. You know, smashing his other teammate girlfriends and whatnot. Like, that's who he was. I don't know. But Roland is funny. Like, I don't even know if he did a segment where they let the people push back against that, because I could never be on the show, man. Like, I seen like Obsidian try to give him some bail and try to say that black people should support him and give him money for his little. I can't do it, man. He has no integrity as a journalist. Like, yeah, I've listened to interviews and I'm saying there are gems there sometimes, but just like his personality and the way he does things is like, it's just mad ghetto and trash. You want to debate people, but you want to moderate and debate at the same time. That's not how this works. You don't do that. Sucks to the people who went and took that bait and challenge, but you don't. That's not how we do debates. You don't go into somebody else's environment and you want to moderate while debating somebody. Like that doesn't work like that. You frame the entire narrative when you do that. You want to debate somebody, you go to a third party who's unbiased and let them host, and then you conversate from there. But I just don't understand now. Like, a lot of these old folks, man, they stuck on stupid. They stuck on it. They know that people feel some type of way. They just don't want these newer conversations to come to the limelight and be real. What Marcellus Wiley was saying is something that a lot of folks was feeling, and you up here talking about, it's an embarrassment. You shouldn't have said that on TV. He took to TV a conversation that men are having in the barbershops right now. And y'all don't like that. You old media, you old established Democrat Negroes don't want to hear the voices of the people because it doesn't go with your agendas and your narratives. As much as criticism as Fox get, Fox Sports with Jason Whitlock, despite I know how y'all feel about him, but he has a panel of damn near 3 to 4 men every episode, every topic, where you got diversity of opinions of brothers, some mixed, giving their real life, unapologetic views on issues, stuff that they probably couldn't do on ESPN, right? MSNBC, CNN, they don't hire, heterosexual black men with bases in their voice to talk about black issues and black stuff. They don't. Robert Perillo talked to him. He said that when he went to CNN, they told him we don't hire men like that for these type of issues. You gotta talk about other things, but you can't talk about community issues and stuff like that. They'll have the moist ass gay dude. They'll have Angela Rye blinking her eyes and snapping her neck. They're not gonna have a heterosexual black dude up there talking real truth to power unapologetically. At least Fox gives these brothers the opportunity to do that. They can speak their mind. They can say what they want to say. They don't seem to have the leash on them like they do at ESPN when it comes to racial issues and racial stuff. I give them credit for that. It's not too many black shows. That's the closest you're going to get to seeing unapologetic black men on TV. But yeah, Roland's in his feelings. He's mad that some of these conversations that we have on YouTube and we have in the barbershop and we have in, in-house conversations are being made public by what he said. And y'all keep saying Colin should talk. I said in my other video with Jay-Z stuff, Colin shouldn't talk because he can't. That's why he's not. That's why his girl's talking for him. He doesn't know what he's doing. The ship has sailed. It's over with. People have moved on. Like, if you want to still boycott and do all that stuff, the Jay-Z thing didn't stop you from doing that. Marcellus Wiley stop. It's people are gonna move on. It is what it is. And this dude literally goes back and, well, this happened in the Montgomery bus boycott, and this happened in this boycott. Like, you going back 40, 50 years to make examples of points that happen today. This is a new day. People are tired of letting people represent them that have, again, I go back to the situation, even when you talk about, because he did the same thing about Kamala Harris, and they keep calling it a purity test. It's not a purity test. He make the same deflections about, well, if we're going to call out people who are biracial and whatever, then we got to call out the full black people. And I'm like, again, what context does that make? What sense does that make? He brought up, in the context of Kamala Harris, he brought up Supreme Court Thomas Clarence. And I'm like, so you try to make the point that a black person cannot be for black folks or whatever, or not on a right page and be fully black, ignoring the fact that black people feel some type of way about Clarence Thomas already. So why would you bring that up? He's not getting treated better. He's not getting a pass. Black folks treat him a certain kind of way. Which I'll give Yvette Cornell credit, because she broke down an example and she made the correlation to how you can tie a person who thinks like the Supreme Court Justice, and how if you really are on some Malcolm X, by any means necessary, no handouts, forget the government, forget white people doing stuff on your own. If you thought like that, what does that look like if you got a position in the Supreme Court? Would he be leaning to the left and giving black people more dependency and making it easier for them to become complacent, or would he make it harder? Think about that. I give him credit because they made a case for that. And I know she was making a case to be negative in a sense, to make it seem like they're too conservative and Malcolm X is not liberal enough and all that stuff, but she makes a good case that, imagine if you had that power. Would Malcolm X be voting with the Democrats on gun control if you know who he is and how he was? Would he be voting to integrate black schools with white schools? No, he believed in separation. So when you look at those things, what does that look like if he was made to the Supreme Court justice and he was in that position of power? Would it look like the liberal judges, or would it look like more like Clarence Thomas? But anyways, that should be it. I tried to get through this segment of Roland Martin because I knew it was going to be a bunch of bull, a bunch of John Madden statin, and no actual responding to what he was saying. Half the stuff was his opinion, so you can't really refute his opinion. He wasn't saying facts. He was saying how he felt. He was speaking for himself, which is the title of the show. You taking digs and shots at people talking about Jason never played football. Did he ever say he did professionally? No. Like, what are you talking about? He probably makes more money than you just talking on TV than you do. He's not in some broom closet somewhere. Like, I didn't understand the shots either. Like, what are you talking about? Like, come on. There was nothing wrong with what Marcellus said. There's nothing wrong with black folks voicing, yeah, we not about to have this plight of the mulatto situation. We acknowledge that biracial people have done a lot, but we want to examine why and go deeper. That why were they always in the position to do those things? I might put that clip of G. Lowry video in a link or something. Biracial is the new black, and he makes a case for how many biracial people have helped and pushed black people forward. But let's ask, why were they in a position to make those connections in the first place? Yes, they used their privilege, but they were in a position for a reason to do those things that other black people couldn't do it. I think that's it. Oh yeah, now watch all the people who come out just like Roland. I see Ethan Thomas, who was just previously on Roland Martin's show. All the people who are higher up in the media and writing and sports journalism, all the liberals who engage in political commentary, they're all going to jump on the bandwagon because they want to keep the narrative. They want to put Kaepernick on the pedestal. Watch that. Again, the streets are talking. What Marcellus Wiley said, like, even, the crazy thing, I listened to Joe Budden podcast and they talked about it. Of course, we knew it was going to be biased and a bunch of bull because Ma, brother is Biggs, who was with Jay and with Dame, but, when Jay and left, Biggs went with Jay. So he's already compromised. Joe Budden is a bitch, and, Rory works. Rory is with Duce Palooza, which is with Rock Nation. So it's like, it's all compromise and bias up there. Like, you're not going to get no real conversation out of that. Like, that's crazy, but DJ Academic segment with Nadeska and whoever the other dude is, like, their segment, and this is the first time I listened to every show going since Joe left. Their segment was actually less biased and more real and more open, and people being honest about how they felt about Cap and a boycott and the confusion. Like, that's how most people probably felt. They didn't pick sides. Everything like, what's going on? We're confused. Cap took the settlement. He mad that other players still played, but his boy got a settlement. Eric Reed got a settlement and still get to play. Like, it's just confusing as shit. But their commentary breakdown was way less biased. Like, it was just, I picked up on it so easy. Like, damn, wait a minute. Nobody here is beholden to anybody. So their commentary was free, and it felt like it was from the heart. Whereas the Joe Budden segment, like, it was way too much dick eating, obviously, for Jay. And they're all connected in some way and somehow. But yeah, I'm already starting to smell. Like, I'm looking at Ethan Thomas' Facebook page, and there's non-black people talking about, this Marcellus Wiley guy is mean, and he was rude, and he was blah 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 and divisive. I'm like, why are you speaking on these black folks' issues? Ain't got shit to do with you. Like, chill. But watch the battle, though. It's going to be a battle, though. They're going to try to bury your man, Marcellus Wiley. I want to see him respond. And I hope he doesn't kowtow or bitch out, because that happens usually in the media, so it is what it is. But I haven't seen him do that yet, right? But and I see people keep attacking Jason Whitlock, but I'm like, he didn't even say it. Marcellus said it, so why don't you come at him? They're like, well, I expected this from Jason Whitlock, but not from Marcellus. What he said, what the fuck he said? Nah, it's just weird. Watch the backlash though. Watch the people come out. Watch the establishment types come out to condemn and give him a verbal thrashing publicly, saying what he said was wrong. Watch the Jamil Hill do her articles, and the Root come at him too. Watch all that. I'm probably getting notifications now because I came on Ethan Thomas' Facebook page saying I agree with everything Marcellus Wiley said except for the Jay-Z dick eating. Other than that, I agree with everything he said. We don't know if Cap would have done any of this if he was still starting and being a little party frat boy. It looks like he did it because he was butthurt about not being a starter, and he started doing other things because he knew he wasn't playing football no time soon.
Because you had no substance behind it. Entertainment and no substance. But to sit here and demean Colin Kaepernick and call him essentially a lackey.
He is.
And by saying him and his girlfriend are earning their black card.
They trying to.
Colin Kaepernick is a black man.
He can't be both.
He's biracial.
Pick one.
So are we now to call the black card of Jesse Williams?
Yes.
Are we now to question the black card of Halle Berry?
We did.
Are we now to question the black card of any brother or sister?
Absolutely.
Biracial? Are we really going to play that game,
yes.
Marcellus?
Now watch the deflection.
Because see, if we're going to play that game, we can play another game. We can play the game of a whole bunch of authentic Negroes who don't say a damn thing.
What does it have to do with this conversation?
If we really want to play that game, let's discuss authentic black people who don't speak up.
Not you.
If we really want to play that game, let's talk
Why
about
you so mad, Roland? Why your eyes red?
Who are not doing stuff.
Why you in your feelings? How do you know what they're doing behind the scenes?
Suggest that Colin Kaepernick has done nothing.
He didn't say that he didn't do anything.
And to say it on television is dead wrong. Marcellus, you are absolutely wrong.
He's right.
As you said, playing the race card. What the hell was that? Because you had no substance behind it. Entertainment and no substance. But to sit here and demean Colin Kaepernick and call him essentially a lackey.
He is.
And by saying him and his girlfriend are earning their black card.
They trying to.
Colin Kaepernick is a black man.
He can't be both.
He's biracial.
Pick one.
So are we now to call the black card of Jesse Williams?
Yes.
Are we now to question the black card of Halle Berry?
We did.
Are we now to question the black card of any brother or sister?
Absolutely.
Biracial? Are we really going to play that game,
yes.
Marcellus?
Now watch the deflection.
Because see, if we're going to play that game, we can play another game. We can play the game of a whole bunch of authentic Negroes who don't say a damn thing.
What does it have to do with this conversation?
If we really want to play that game, let's discuss authentic black people who don't speak up.
Not you.
If we really want to play that game, Let's talk
Why
about
you so mad, Roland?
authentic
Why your eyes red?
who are not doing stuff.
Why you in your
their
feelings?
communities.
How do you know what they're doing behind the
To
scenes?
suggest that Colin Kaepernick has done nothing is
He
a
didn't say that he
blatant
didn't do
lie.
anything.
And to say it on television is dead wrong. Marcellus, you are absolutely wrong.
He's right.
As you said, playing the race card. What the hell was that?
You saw the deflection there, right? He brings up the conversation is about Kaepernick and his motives and his attempts to do this, and it's not that. The problem that Marcellus is having, which people want to ignore, is that Colin Kaepernick keeps, not even him, his woman and Eric Reed and all the rest of the, people on the I want Colin Kaepernick to get a job bandwagon. They're attacking anybody who does businesses or work outside the NFL, which I said it before. You did your little protest. It didn't work. The ratings, the numbers are in. The NFL recovered from last year. The year before, they had a 5% increase in revenue. Each team got $250 million. That means players in their agreement got some of that money from each team. And that's the thing that's funny too, right? How you want players to join you in your boycott of something that has nothing to do with your job, while at the same time, if the ratings drop, if things happen like that, per your agreement with the NFL Association, you lose revenue too. Like, kind of like how Jamil Hill was talking shit about, she was trying to tell people, fans, how to boycott Jerry Jones, which is the most profitable team in the NFL, Dallas Cowboys, while the NFL has a deal with ESPN. And then ESPN had to fire you, which everybody was on the bandwagon talking about she could say what she wants to say, but she admits after she got let go that, yeah, I broke company policy. She did. She's telling people how to hurt an organization that her bosses, ESPN, aka Disney, has a partnership and agreement with the NFL. You can't have that. So I'm saying this is all convoluted. Everything is everywhere, right? But anyways, let's look out for all the backlashes and all the people responding to this. I noticed a lot of folks are in their fields. The establishment type of Democrats and whatnot, the older black folks who subscribe to the one drive rule, they're gonna, condemn Marcus. Let's see if he keeps his, he stands his ground. Let's see if he doesn't backpedal. I don't think he will, but you never know with these brothers who work in corporate TV. If the pressure is put there, they do. But I would think that because of the discussions that they have on the show, the audience is cool with that diverse of opinion. Like, it ain't the same audience that's watching Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. The very more liberal point of view from many things that goes on in sports and whatnot. I think it's a different audience over here at Speak For Yourself, because the whole point of the show is to not be muffled. But yeah, this ain't got nothing to do with folks who aren't doing anything. This is about Colin Kaepernick and how he thinks, not even him, his woman keeps checking people that are moving on beyond him, as if they have to come to them and ask them permission to do things. And I'm saying that makes sense. The reaction makes sense. That people are going to be like, wait a minute, I don't even agree with Jay-Z. But I'm just saying, if I'm Jay-Z, I'm not asking Kaepernick to do anything, or Nessa, or Eric Reed. Like, I don't need your permission. And I think that was what Marcellus Wiley's whole premise of his argument was. That opened the door to talk about what we notice. He said, I talked to people within the organization and people on his team. They said that he was pouting. He didn't. Marcellus Wiley didn't say he was pouting. He said the people who were close to Kaepernick said he was just sitting on the bench being a little butthole, sitting because he was mad he wasn't starting. It may have graduated to something better and something more important, but that was the exception of his sitting on the bench. And then you build from there, and you see how things are broken and there are cracks in the system, and how he took the payout. Like, people are starting to be honest now. The shit is over with. Like, just to be honest, the shit is done. Like, people have moved on. Like, it's done. It was a good attempt, good try. Maybe when y'all write history books, he might be saw in a different light, If some actual things get changed and tangibles get done, possibly. Don't see it happening from him. I think he might have opened the door for someone else to do it, though. But not him.